On the right.
Close up like someone chewing a bagel.
So then you have a certain amount, then you unload it each
Pointing the
time.
wrong
I
direction.
see. Probably isn't.
Enjoy the rest of breakfast and enjoy sitting down. Part of me is tempted to say, please rise, just to see what you guys will do. But let's focus a little bit on the opening of this week's Parsha, Parsha Ha azinu, and it opens with the very famous words, azinu hashamayim va'adabera v'tishma haaretz imrefi. And Rabbi Menachem Mendel of Kotsk adds the following very brief comment. Azinu be'ofen shmaimi, that one should listen in a heavenly or lofty manner, behitromemut uviktusha ilait, that one should listen in a heavenly and uplifting way that is filled with holiness. That the way we listen affects what we hear. That when we come to Shul on Yom Kippur, we may be a little bit more open to hearing something than we might be on a Thursday morning, the day after Yom Kippur, when we're still all a little bit fashlufen, where we're still a little bit tired, and Thursday is still going to be an ordinary day. So part of how we hear things is affected by how we listen. And I think Rabbi Menachem Mendel of Kotsk is teaching us a very valuable lesson. That when we listen to things in a positive way, if we're open to the things that we're hearing, we're going to be inspired and touched by them in a very different way than if we're listening with a very critical ear. You know, sometimes when we listen for the mistake. We listen to be able to say, here's where you goofed, as opposed to listening with an eye towards learning, internalizing, and understanding. And I think that's part of how we need to listen to words of Torah. And as a corollary to that, the next comment of his, again on the same opening words, Ha'azinu hashamayim, comma, va'adabera. He puts a comma into the flow of the verse, which says, essentially changing it as, if the heavens are listening, if there's an audience that's listening with an attentive ear, then I'll speak. Im ta'azinu, if, now he's flipping it to the children of Israel, if the children of Israel are going to listen to what I'm about to say, Menachem Mendel is interpreting Moshe, then I will be inspired and I will be like a ma'ayan novea, I will be like an abundant spring, that my words will flow easily. And I think we've all experienced the idea that if people are listening to us in a way that is serious, in a way that is attentive, we find it easier to speak to them. And that's true whether it's me on the bima and I feel the kahal is focused and ready to hear words of Torah, and other times when I look out and the chit-chat is over here and the chit-chat is over there, no aspersions to anybody in the room, there's a definite sense of, I'm not sure how well what I'm about to say is heard. And what's true for Moshe, what's true for someone who might be standing in the pulpit, is no less true when we're encountering our family and our friends. If Jody is talking to me, and I have my nose in a sefer or something like that is distracting me because I have work on my mind, then I'm not really present for her to speak to me, and the conversation kind of goes nowhere. Because the speaker sort of realizes that the listener isn't present. And that can be true with a spouse, that can be true with a child, that can be true with a friend who calls us because they're troubled or excited about something, and we're busy in the mundane of the moment, and we're not listening, and we're not responding the way they need us to respond. And so the second half of Menachem Mendel's comment is not just about how we listen, but how our listening affects the speaker. And as we go forward into the new year, I think the companion of the two comments is really good for us to hear and to see and to think about as how we interact with other people and what we capture of the world around us and how we hear. But before we began our official session, we were chatting around the table about cameras, and I was commenting on how sometimes the camera will see things that the picture taker will not. When the first thing that Jody and I bought together as a couple was a camera. And we were in Baltimore, and we went to Camden Yard, and the mascot, the Baltimore Oriole, was in the aisle right next to us, so I decided I would take a picture of him up close and personal, and I did. And then when we developed the picture, tells you what kind of camera and how long ago this was, there in the bottom of the picture is a couple making out. And Jody says to me, "Why did you take that picture?" I said, "I took a picture of the mascot. I have no idea how they got in the picture. I didn't notice them." The camera saw things that I didn't because I was focused only on the Baltimore Oriole. And what's true in how we look at the world is no less true in how we listen to the world. And so we have to listen to the world and hear the people around us and become good listeners to the world around us.